Hello everybody and welcome to Reprieve Media CIC Double Handful, and it's nice of you to listen. Thank you very much for listening. As always, it is very much appreciated. We're going to take a look back now at the Breeders' Cup that happened a fortnight or so ago. The dust has settled now. Everybody's given their reaction reviews. We thought we'd just take our time a little bit, digest the races properly, have a good look, and now we are ready to go. On the line after her setback, she's had a bit of a setback recently, bless her, but she's kicking and bucking in the paddock today. She is ready to go today, we think. So on the line today, all being well, we should have Monica McCarthy. Monica, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hallelujah! Fantastic news. Monica, may I just take this opportunity to say thank you very much for taking the time to join us today.
And thank you for having me.
No problem. It's always a pleasure. And hopefully, firstly, may I just take this opportunity to say it's good that you're better, and we're glad that you're feeling better also today.
Yes, some of it is rain today.
Fantastic. So before we get stuck into the individual races that we looked at last time, as you know, really, it's all about the weekend, really, general weekend. What a fantastic weekend's racing it was, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, definitely. I was concerned about the weather and raining out, making the track sloppy, but it didn't, and the weather was fine, so it made for a great 2 days of racing.
Yes, it certainly did. So we're gonna start the preview, obviously, as you do these things with at the beginning. We're gonna take a look firstly at the juvenile races that ran on Friday. Was there anything there? Start the ball rolling? What did you like the look of on the Friday? So we're just gonna really start with the juveniles on the Friday. I mean, the two races we looked at were the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So shall we start there first?
Yes, Juvenile Turf.
For favoritism with Line of Duty. Moves in. They're all in line. And they're off. Current left in the air at the start, and that leaves him at the back early. Some Like It Hot Brown is racing for the lead. Grabs a length and a half advantage early on, 40 under for the inside racing. Second, Line of Duty, very restive, pulled back off the pace to be third. Opry is up close racing. Fourth, Henley's Joy in between. Fifth, War of Will, stuck wide on the first turn, racing up into sixth. Arthur Kitt is covered up and gathered in. Seventh toward the inside, much better is eighth and only 5 lengths off the lead. Uncle Benny runs along in ninth. The Black Album is 10th. Anthony Van Dyke 3 or 4 wide around the first turn, already 8 or 9 lengths off the lead. Then it's Marie's Diamond Current, and at the back is King of Speed. The opening quarter mile in 24 and 2/5 seconds. Some Like It Hot Brown down the back stretch in front. 40 under on the outside, pumps the pace from second. It's those two on to the final half mile. Arthur Kitt asked to go now. Third and inside, Opry's racing fourth. It's been a wide trip from War of Will on the far outside, racing fifth onto the far turn. Line of Duty down inside. 4 lengths to make up from there. Then it's much better in Henley's Joy. Uncle Benny's making steady progress, weaving through the track down toward the hedge now to within 5 lengths of the lead. They're at the quarter pole. Some Like It Hot Brown turns for home in front. 40 under to the attack. War of Will swings wide for the stretch drive. Line of Duty does too. Arthur Kitt boxes on in behind. Opry bumps with the Black Album. Uncle Benny's trying to find a seam. There's 1 furlong to go. Some Like It Hot Brown is still in front. Line of Duty wanders to the crown of the course. Uncle Benny comes charging on through. Here comes Uncle Benny. And on the outside, Line of Duty. And at the rail, Some Like It Hot Brown. Here's the wire. Line of Duty up to win it. Line of Duty the winner. Uncle Benny was second. Some Like It Hot Brown was third. And Arthur Kitt was fourth.
Well, we might have not predicted this finish at the quarter pole. There was an absolute cavalry charge late, and Line of Duty looks like he got the better of all of them.
Yeah, that was a real slog late on, wasn't it? They've gone hard early in Line of Duty, closing down the wide outside for trainer Charlie Appleby, who has had the most remarkable season, as had the owner's Godolphin under William Buick. He's got the better of the argument late on from Uncle Benny. And Some Like It Hot Brown has done so well to stay in the position he has, just got reeled in late on. But it was tough work for Line of Duty. But his form over further, he won over 9 furlongs last time out, has stood him in good stead here because he needed his stamina there.
Uncle Benny got pinched back at the start. He got absolutely stopped on the turn. I don't know how he ran second, but what a gutsy performance.
What a heartbreak loss we saw by Uncle Benny, and also Some Like It Hot Brown. I mean, Some Like It Hot Brown really were in the thick of it all and setting the pace there, but it looks like 5-2-7, your unofficial order of finish for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf.
Yes, I mean, you heard it there. What a fantastic race that was. And really, I'm just going to really say first in that race, I mean, people, you heard it there before then. Some Like It Hot Brown. What a race that horse ran, Monica.
Yes. His sire is Big Brown. Was a very good sire. He won two jewels of the Triple Crown, and I always follow his Big Brown's proteges.
I mean, you've put that one up in the race against the European horses, and it ran an absolute storming race, didn't it? Led all the way nearly. It really did. It really did run a good race, and it marked itself down really as one to look out for next time it ran, I think, because these juveniles they only strengthen up, don't they? And that horse really just got a bit tired at the end, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
But apart from that, what an absolutely fantastic performance. But we've got to really got to look at the winner, I think, as well. I mean, you mentioned it as well in the preview. To be fair to you, I hadn't really looked at this race very much, but Line of Duty, it was going at different speed to all them at the end. It absolutely flew home at the end. There was no way that was the best horse in that race. You could just tell, because at the end it showed a useful turn of foot, didn't it, that horse in that race?
Line of Duty, when he was coming home at the end, it was like he had a big vat of he was racing home for.
I mean, he was definitely, I would say, the best horse in that race, looking at that. I mean, we didn't really touch on these juveniles as much on the Friday. I must mention Anthony Van Dyke. I talked about him quite a lot in the preview. I mean, I thought that was a poor run from the horse, the Coolmore horse, Anthony Van Dyke. He was wide all the way round, and I've not watched much American racing, but I think you will be able to confirm to me that is not the place you want to be in American racing. Is out wide, is it?
No, I don't think so either. So
really, he was wide all the way round, Anthony Van Dyke. I thought he was one of the first beaten and had a very poor run. What did you think of his run? Did you even notice his run?
I didn't really notice his run, to be honest.
No, I mean, that, believe it or not, is one of the best European 2-year-olds on form going into that race. And for you to say that you never even noticed it run says it all, really, doesn't it?
Yes, I was.
So was there any others in that race, really, that you like the look of then? Apart from Some Like It Hot Brown and Line of Duty, was there any others that impressed you?
Not really. I was kind of focused on Line of Duty.
Well, yeah, it was hard not to be, weren't it? And once he understood what his plan was at the end, he flew home at the end, didn't he? And really, the jockey, all he had to do was sit on it. Absolutely superb performance, without any shadow of a doubt. So that's all we've got for that race, really. It's really these juvenile races, Monica. They're very early pieces of the jigsaw for a horse's career. So, and you touched on that in the preview. So the other race we really looked at that day was the race won by Good Magic last season. Good Magic turned out to be a very good Triple Crown horse. So there might be something in here, we don't know. And that, Monica, was the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, yes?
Yes.
Ascension Jet Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Here comes Signalman coming up to the outside post. Even money on Game Winner. They're in the gate. And they're off in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Nixco hustled hard out of the gate. Complexity with raw speed comes on through to take over. Well defined is right there. Tight 10 pulls off the pace, settles in fourth to the inside. They're into the clubhouse turn, and it's Complexity in front trying to cross over and clear. Well defined holding second inside. Nixco's racing in third. 2 lengths back to Topperty on the outside, moving up fourth. Mr. Money very keen, racing in fifth. Game Winner is 3 or 4 wide on the first turn, racing up into sixth. Tight 10 back into seventh. Dueling is eighth by another 3. Standard Deviation is ninth as his stablemate sets the pace. And then we come back to Mind Control racing along in 10th, just at a Signalman, who's 11th. Gunmetal Gray by another 3. Derby Date is the last of them all. The pace is solid, 23 and 1/5 seconds for that opening quarter mile, set by Complexity. The half in 46 and 4. 4 furlongs to go. They're on to the fire turn, and Complexity holds on to the lead so far. Nixco on the outside is racing in second. Mr. Money sneaking through in the inside up to be third. And there goes Game Winner, putting it a bit on the far outside. Fifth, fourth, now third, but it's under pressure. Dueling is winding up from far behind. Signalman is weaving through the pack, was outside, now goes inside. They're at the quarter pole. Complexity stops. Nixco comes away with the lead, but here comes Game Winner on the outside. Mr. Money pops outside as well. There's 1 furlong to go, and it's Nixco in front, but Game Winner is thundering past the Twin Spires. They brush right inside the 8th pole. Now it's Game Winner in front. Nixco battles on, but is back into second. Signalman is third. They're coming down to the finish, and Game Winner, a champion, wins by 2 over Nixco second. Signalman was third, and Mr. Money was fourth.
So, like you said, Monica, I mean, that race there, what did you make of it?
I was looking at Game Winner because Bob Baffert, the trainer, he always seems to do very well and grooming 2-year-olds. So I was looking at Game Winner and Signal.
Yes, I mean, Game Winner was the one we touched on in the preview, the horse that won the American Pharaoh, the inaugural running of the American Pharaoh. So that is a horse really that you would think that Mr. Baffert might think a lot of. I agree with you. But when you watch the race, I mean, how were you really impressed with old Game Winner? I mean, to me, he took a while to get going, the old boy, didn't he?
He sure did. And in the stretch, Game Winner and Nixco bumped each other, but it was just an honest bump.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. If anything, that woke Game Winner up a little bit, and then he went, I'm in a race here, and then away he went. But yeah, I'm glad you touched on Nixco, because that was the one that won the Grade 1 at 70-1, wasn't it? And it went off this time at 23-1, and it's running again, an absolutely cracking race in a Grade 1, and that horse has now proved to me that big price win was no fluke at all, was it? That was another good run, wasn't it, from the horse?
No. So that'll be one to watch, put on your radar, Nixco, and also Game Winner.
Yeah, I mean, you said about Game Winner, I'm still not convinced with the horse. I mean, he looked better to me in the other races than he did there. The race that I saw him win, the American Pharaoh, I thought was a better performance than the race, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I wasn't impressed with it, Monica. Wasn't impressed with it. It plodded on at the end and lugged away. But no, not for me. Not on that performance anyway. The other one I wanted to touch on in that race was Complexity. I mean, that won a Grade 1 as well somewhere. I think it won the Breeders' Cup Futurity actually before this race. And that to me just looks a one-dimensional front runner. It tried to make all again, and once they got past it, just give up, didn't it? So that could be one that really does need its own way in front. But I wouldn't rule it out. Yeah, it looks as though it could, based on the run of it in the Futurity. It looks a good horse, but you couldn't have it on that run either. But again, like you said, we're looking at 2 horses here, just Game Winner and Nixco. Game Winner, and Nixco out of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. That's another poor race, isn't it?
don't count less complexity yet because they're just 2-year-olds. So
Yeah. I mean, I accept that, but to me, they're looking as though they're not going to be. I'm not really. It's hard to be excited about the Kentucky Derby next year on what I've seen so far. Put it that way.
yeah, it's kind of early in the game at this. There'll be a lot that will happen even down to the week before. So we'll just have to wait and see and kind of keep some of these 2-year-olds on the radar. They'll turn 3 January 1st. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, I've looked at the old pattern. I've looked at the races. We're gonna pick them up again at the Risen Star Stakes. I think that's in the first week of February. I think, and that is the first 50-point race. And I think they'll be trying then. But as it stands, Game Winner is at the lead. He is heading at the front of the road to the Kentucky Derby. He is in front, so he is the one to catch. But I don't know. To me, I think Mr. Baffert will think he has to improve a lot from that.
yes, Baffert will groom this horse as best he can if he's got what it takes.
We're now joined, obviously, on the far left by Bob Baffert. Bob, congratulations. Breeders' Cup win number 15 for you. Breeders' Cup Juvenile win number 4 for you. And as we mentioned earlier, you're second for Gary and Mary West. Can you talk about his preparation coming in? The race looked like it would set up nicely for him with speed in front of him. But it didn't seem like probably the way you drew it up on the blackboard. Would that be fair?
Well, I mean, the only thing I didn't like our post. I'd like to have been run the 6 because we knew you had the short run to the first turn, and when he didn't break as sharp, but the 10 horse I knew was going to be. He's pretty fast. The way he was pretty impressive the way he won the race at Keeneland, but he was pretty wide, and I was a little bit worried about the half-mile pole that. I was a little bit concerned because it looked like Complexity was running on a really easy lead, had his ears pricked and just cruising along. And you don't know, how far these horses want to go. But apparently Rosario, he wasn't concerned. He said when he kept him in there behind horses a little bit, just sitting there. He knew he had a lot of horse, and I did tell him that he had a full tank, so he could at the end he'd give you had him prepared for a really tough fight just in case he were to get a trip like that. And so he couldn't have trained any better coming into this race. I feel we were really confident the way we prepared him, and he was working with older horses in Santa Anita, with good older horses. And so I've been telling Gary all along this. I think he's special, and but I didn't want to get him too excited because there's nothing. They'll break your heart. Come in here. But this is of the Breeders' Cup races, this is the one I really wanted because there's nothing like having a 2-year-old and you're thinking, spring classics and everything else, and Gary's program is all about young horses, developing them, and hopefully get a stallion prospect like West Coast. And so this is our plan, and it worked out. I just feel fortunate that Gary and Mary, they send me their best ones, and I go through them, and not all of them are stars, but we come across one like this, and today, the way he won and the way he did it is pretty impressive, and it's a good feeling. At the 8th pole, I'll start thinking some roses,
Bob, to what degree, if any, is you can't dictate where the Breeders' Cup is held in a given year. To what degree, if any, is it bonus points or a plus for next year that this year's Juvenile was at Churchill?
Well, you know what? I think it depends on the horse. Those good horses, they'll if they could have had it at Santa Anita, I think he would have won. He's just a good horse. Breeders' Cup. You have to step it up. It's championship racing. You have to show up. You have to have a good horse, and you have to be lucky. And we were the horse. In the paddock when I saddled him, he couldn't have looked any better. But there's some other horses in there that it looked like a good field. There was nice horses in there, and so you can't take anything for granted. You know, one thing about it, I knew at the 8th pole, you know, he's a fit horse. You know, he's a big, strong horse, and the further, the better. I knew that we had that going for, but I thought he was a good horse, but he's a lot better than I thought he was. 'Cause for him to do what he did that last quarter of a mile and give that horse a head start like that, being that wide, I mean, that's that's a serious horse, and I think that's what made it more exciting for me. That, you know, he won and he came back. First thing I asked him, is he tired? He goes, no. He actually handled that pretty well. So, you know, it's a good feeling, but we know we have a long way to go. We've got to keep him healthy and all. We know what can happen, but you know, we're going to enjoy today, and we can dream about tomorrow. But this is a huge win for me. I mean, this is of the races. This is the one. If he hadn't won, I said, how could I be that wrong about this horse? And I told Gary earlier, you know, he's worried about the track. Don't worry about it. We got the goods. We just got to get away with him, you know, just close, you know. And but I was concerned down the back, so I thought, oh boy, I'm glad I wasn't watching the race with Gary, because we would have both been saying, we're done, you know. But any other horse, you know, he would have been done. But that's how good a horse he is.
Absolutely, I agree with you. So that's Fridays. Then there was other races on Friday, other juvenile races, but the thing is, we're of the view we can't watch them all. You know, we don't want to watch too many. So that's it for Friday, Monica. So thank you very much, and we'll be back in a second with a look at a couple of races from Saturday. You're listening to Double Handful with Monica McCarthy and Paul Newman on Reprieve Media CIC. Another thing we are looking to do now is Double Handful, the horse racing podcast. You've obviously heard some of the audio. The articles are going quite well, but it's really just myself at the moment. So I am looking for a lot more help with the Double Handful side. We are always looking for other people to get involved with the Double Handful project. Really, we're looking at the moment for maybe article writers, or co-hosts even. Basically, we'll just talk about racing, talk about anything that interests us in the racing sector. You can have your own voice, and you will be giving your own opinions live on air about the pastime you love. If that is something that interests you, then get in touch. The email address is info@reprievemediacic.epeasy.com. Say that once more. info@reprievemediacic.epeasy.com.
If you see somebody showing any of the signs of a stroke, you don't have to think about it, you just dial 999. Use the FAST test. F. Face. Has their face fallen on one side? Can they smile? A. Arms. Can they raise both arms and keep them there? S. Speech. Is their speech slurred? T. Time. Time to call 999 if you see any one of these signs. Act fast, make the call, dial 999.
If you want to really listen to what we're saying or read what we're saying when we're not on air, then the place to do that really is the news outlet. It's called Essential Reading, online, and I will give you the website for that now. It is www.essentialreading.freecluster.eu. That's essentialreading.freecluster, FREE, cluster, CLUSTER.EU. So why not go and check that out? Hello, good evening, and welcome to the second part of Double Handful's look back at the Breeders' Cup. It's not gone as planned, to be honest. Our host, Monica McCarthy, had a bit of a setback, and she was fantastic form. And then my equipment here at Reprieve Media CIC is about as old as a 14-year-old gelding. So that was no good. So we've finally got back together now, and hopefully on the other end we should have to talk about the Saturday of the Breeders' Cup. She better be there after this build-up. Monica McCarthy, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Hallelujah. Good evening, Monica. Nice to talk to you. And welcome back to Double Handful.
And you as well.
So we touched on Friday briefly in the first part. Like we said then, there was only a couple of races that we looked at, the juvenile, but really Saturday's card, a totally different kettle of fish. Top class racing, wasn't it?
It was marvelous.
I mean, you said before we recorded that you were looking forward to the Breeders' Cup Classic. That was your race you were looking forward to the most. But what race would you like to start with first? What race would you like to look at first?
The Longines Turf. It's a 1.5 miles, ages 3-year-olds and up, and the purse is for $4 million.
Well worth racing for then. And we touched on this race earlier. And this race really we've got to really touch on first what a race it was. Enable, Magical, all the others. Great race, wasn't it?
It was a fantastic race. It ended up being one of my favorites.
They're in the gate. And they're off. And Glorious Empire, very alert coming out of the gate. Channelmaker is asked to go early and moves up on that one's inside. Robert Bruce is up close. High Happy from the far outside. Enable was away in good order. She's in a little bit of traffic. Racing for the far turn. Hunting Horn from the far outside races up too. And Talismanic is down on the inside. So into the first of 3 turns. And Glorious Empire unopposed at this point. Channelmaker stalking the pace second. High Happy 3 wide racing third. 2.5 lengths back to Talismanic, who settles inside fourth. Hunting Horn fifth, right alongside of Enable. She's racing in sixth and is 5 lengths off the lead. And Robert Bruce follows her into the stretch for the first time, running along in seventh. Then it's Magical in eighth. Arklow in ninth. Voltgeist is back in 10th. Liam the Charmer is racing 11th. Cortado de Cordes is second to last early, and the trailer is Sadler's Joy as they go by the Twin Spires for the first time. The first half mile in 49 seconds flat. Glorious Empire over the good going leads the way. Channelmaker on the outside is racing second, and High Happy continues on in the clear while third. Talismanic going to save ground, sticking to the hedge fourth. Enable still fifth. A little bit off the rail, racing about 4 lengths off the lead. Hunting Horn still to her outside. Magical's in some traffic. Robert Bruce firmly held at mid-pack, 6 lengths behind, 1.5 lengths behind Enable for the backstretch run. Arklow's asked to pick it up just a bit. Voltgeist is following that one. And then on the far outside, Sadler's Joy's moved up a couple of spots, followed by Liam the Charmer. Cortado de Cordes is at the back of the pack. 3 quarters and 14 and 2. 4 furlongs to go in the Breeders' Cup Turf. And Glorious Empire is still the leader, heading for the far turn. Channelmaker and High Happy. Hunting Horn is right there. Talismanic only 1.5 lengths off the lead. Magical's in the thick of it. Enable is perched on the far outside. She's 4 wide round the far turn. And Robert Bruce is following her. And Sadler's Joy is winding up from the back as well. It's wide open at the quarter pole. short lead for High Happy. Enable is fanned 5, 6, maybe 7 wide off the turn, and Magical swings outside with her. They're off the turn, they're into the stretch, and on the outside it's Enable. Enable puts a nose in front, but Magical is battling her, and these two fillies streak by the 8th pole together. Enable way out in the center of the Churchill Downs turf has the lead. Magical battles on, but she's second, a long way back to the rest. History is made from the Arc to the Breeders' Cup. Enable wins it by half a length. Super game effort for Magical to be second. Farther back, Sadler's Joy was third, and Arklow rallied for fourth.
That was the exciting finish that we were all hoping for right there. Enable and Frankie Dettori 15 wide coming down the stretch.
I think they were nearly as wide as you could possibly be, with Sadler's Joy trying to come up the inside. It's pretty clear that is the part of the turf that is more chewed up. Don't forget, this is a long race. Frankie Dettori having her in the center of the track, dueling down to the wire with Magical.
That was amazing. It really, really was something brilliant from Enable. She hasn't had a dream season by any stretch of the imagination. But both in France in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, where she made history, and here in the Breeders' Cup, where she's made history this afternoon, she has shown real guts and tenacity. In a lovely moment after the line, Ryan Moore and Frankie Dettori shaking hands. That's what this sport is all about. Great finishes like that between two brilliant horses and world-class riders, and that's what the Breeders' Cup has offered us.
And I have to imagine, with such a special filly, this has to be such a sweet victory for John Gosden after the defeat with Golden Horn a couple of years ago at Keeneland in the Breeders' Cup.
What I have to say, too, is you got to give this filly credit. I don't think she was entirely comfortable during the race. We saw her with her head cocked. Frankie wanted the better part of the track, which lacked cover for her, and coming down the lane, I mean, that wide move. She was wide almost the entire way around there. She just overcame so much, I feel like, right now, to lay it on the line for that win.
That's been the story of her season. She just keeps overcoming adversity. I don't think she was great away from the gates. I don't think Frankie had her in the ideal position. He had to probably go to plan C this afternoon, but Frankie's a master, Enable's a superstar, and we've been treated here at Churchill to something special from a world-class filly.
This must be even more special for you. The first horse in history to win the Arc and the Breeders' Cup Turf in the same season, and a filly as well. What were you thinking when Frankie and Ryan Moore were going head-to-head up the straight?
I was yelling for Frankie. It was just too much. Everything that's gone into this whole year has been just so emotional and a roller coaster ride. And for Prince Khalid to have a fourth generation Juddmonte bred filly to do this and into history is just really special.
It's what the Breeders' Cup is all about. Frankie said he gets emotional riding her. You were emotional watching it. John, I can't think you've trained too many horses that you have such a close personal attachment to.
No, she's a magnificent filly with great mental strength, and she showed the courage today. We've had a very difficult preparation all year. It's simply a miracle that she's here, let alone to win the Arc and then to come here and do it. It's very much down to the filly and the man who bred her. With Scarlett Omer breeder, I mean, he knows these families backwards, and she showed enormous courage, beating a magnificent filly in Magical, who was most impressive at Ascot, and it was quite a long way back to the third, so I think it tells you high class the race was.
It was a very high class race. The one question now, Teddy Grimthorpe, dare we be greedy and expect to see her again next year after what she's achieved? So I think somebody's quite keen on the idea.
Yes, say yes. I'll say it for you, yes.
Luckily, it's not my decision. Prince Khalid will have a very happy time thinking about what he wants to do with this filly. And really, everybody always wants more. And of course, we want more of Enable. But equally so, we have to do the right thing by her.
So undecided at present?
Absolutely.
Mr. Dettori has 3 children going to college. He'd be very keen. She stays in training.
She is the ATM. Enable wins the $4 million Breeders' Cup Turf presented by Longines. Frankie, John, Lord Grimthorpe, congratulations, Mike.
Well, there we had. Really was a fantastic race, like you said, Monica. And before we touch on that race, before we start looking at the winners, I really must compliment you there on your selection in that race, the mighty Arklow. I mean, first time I've seen the horse run, I actually for a second thought, even though I knew what he was racing, I actually thought, excuse my French, double handful, I don't know we swear very often, but I thought to myself, fucking hell, this horse is going to win. Did you see the race live? How good did that horse run?
That horse ran well. He saved some real estate going around for a good part of the race on the rail, saving little ground. And then he came out wide and tried to clear himself of traffic.
He was there coming into the straight, but he started to hang a bit, didn't he? And that was the only thing that cost him a place, wasn't it? At odds of 100 to 1. Was the fact that he just hung a bit at the end, didn't he?
Yeah, he actually got in the money, placing fourth, but yeah.
But people over here, for betting purposes, you suggested that people back that horse to finish the place, and you only get paid out if it finishes in the first 3. So even though it got in the money from a prize money terms, from gambling point of view, a gambling perspective, it was unfortunately classed as a loser in England. But I've never seen a more honourable loser of a horse. What a horse that! I honestly did. Like I said, I thought this has got next. This is going to win. And then obviously Enable and Magical, 2 superb fillies. Like we touched on in the preview, just swept away, didn't they, and went clear.
Oh my gosh! I thought Magical was going to win, and then Enable just had that late kick and kicked a little bit more and got in there to win. It's beautiful.
Magical's a very good filly. I knew it was. But if you look at the 2-year-old form of it, it's actually top class. And it's not done itself justice at all this year. And it was great for them to see it come back like that, I think. And I think that'll be kept in training next year as well, Magical, I think. It's gonna. But then again, Enable, I don't know if you've heard this in America, Enable was declared today by Khalid Abdullah, the owner of Judmont, as staying in training for next season, age 5.
Oh, wonderful.
And the target will be a triple Arc win. 3 wins, Arc wins on the trot.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we've touched on Arklow again there. I mean, that horse there, I was astounded. I was like, wow, this woman is a genius. Because don't forget, I was judging you on the run of the other horse, Some Like It Hot Brown, that you selected on Friday. That actually was placed at 16 to 1, wasn't it? Some Like It Hot Brown on the Friday. And that was your selection there as well, you know. So you did well, didn't you? Really, I think. Were you happy with the way that Arklow ran? Did you expect him to run that well? Well, I suppose you did, didn't you? Not exactly my best question there. I suppose if you didn't think it was going to run well, you wouldn't have selected it, would you? And really, apart from the others, what did you think of the others? A lot of them didn't really get into it, did they?
Like I said about Talismanic, he got into traffic when it was time to go, and he had 2 horses in traffic, so I was a little bit disappointed in him.
But then again, you predicted that. But I must watch that race again then, because to be honest, I never noticed that. It wouldn't be the first time. I wasn't really watching the horse. There were so many good horses in that race that you can't watch them all at once, can you? In the same race. I might have been watching another one at the crucial time Talismanic got blocked, but I never noticed that. I did write Robert Bruce, Talismanic and Woolgeist. They ran okay without ever looking threatening, because the first 2, Enable and Magical, they just went well clear, didn't they? Really? Superb ride from Frankie Dettori, wasn't it? Vintage Frankie, we call it in England. I mean, I know he's a bit of a much maligned jockey in America, and a lot of the American fans don't really like him. They don't rate him because of a ride he gave Swain in the Breeders' Cup a few years back, which admittedly was an abysmal ride. You can't watch jockeys like him. You can't judge jockeys like him on one ride like that. I mean, you saw the best of him that night anyway. We'll come back to him later as well, I think. Well, I certainly will. But yeah, Robert Bruce and Woolgeist, I mean, to me, they just didn't look to have the pace for the race, them 2, did they?
Yeah, Robert Bruce just kind of hung in that mid-pack.
Yeah, looked a 10 furlong horse, didn't he? Didn't really look as though he stayed a mile and a half, did he, in that class?
Either it wasn't his day, or he just didn't like that mile and a half. I don't know.
Yeah, he might just be a better horse over 10 furlongs in. He's the sort of horse that I would expect, though, to win more top races on the turf in America next season, or even this season. Because I watched the Arlington Million, and he won that fairly comfortably. So I'd be expecting him to really keep going. He's a good horse, isn't he?
He's a good horse, no doubt about that. Channel Maker and Hunting Horn started out pretty good, but then just kind of drifted back. Right. And then Huntinghorn had jockey Wayne Lord, and I'm not really too schooled on him. I don't know much about him as a jockey.
Coolmore have several jockeys, Monica. He used to ride for David Watchman, who I think is somehow related to Aidan O'Brien. But he had some Coolmore horses. He had one called Legatissimo, you might remember. I think that won at the Breeders' Cup, actually. That was actually trained by David Watchman. There's a couple, but Watchman packed up and Lorden went to Coolmore. Yeah, I think really, like I said with Huntinghorn, I think he might be one for next season. They tried everything different with him, weren't they? I mean, you watch him at the Belmont. You watch his races at the Belmont, he was held up, weren't he? And then he finished third. So this time they tried to lead with him. To me, that would indicate to me that they've got nowhere near the bottom of the horse yet. And he's at Camelot as well, so I think they'll be given every chance next year to fly the flag for a relatively new sire in Camelot. You know, he's had a couple of group winners. This is his first 3-year-old crop, and so I think next season he'll be, whether he's good enough to win these races, is another kettle of fish altogether, isn't it? I can see him. I mean, he won the race at Royal Ascot. I can see him going for races like the Hardwick, Group 2, King George, and sort of races, Coronation Cup. Whether he's good enough is another question. But that's what I think. Yeah, I noticed him as well. But that's a fair, like I said, Arklow. I was just amazed by the run of that horse. I thought, wow, what a run. I thought, I hope she's not back to each way, or else she'll be furious. She finished fourth. But it was unlucky. It was unlucky. It had a great race, and to me, that just shows what's the word? The importance of projects like Double Handful, because just because people don't get opportunities, people know what they're talking about, and for you, a woman from Illinois, to speak to a man from Peterborough who she's never met in her life and say, yeah, I can predict that this is going to run well in a race like that, and for it to finish fourth at 100 to 1. But people need to be listening to this, is what I'm saying, don't they? Especially with the 16 to 1/3 on the Friday. Monica McCarthy is a good shrewd judge of a horse, evidently, on these 2 days. That is a fair assumption to make. So congratulations to you for picking out them 2 horses. So as a reward for that, you can pick the next race as well, Monica. What's the next race you'd like to discuss?
Okay. Let's see. I want to go over and the mile.
So the Breeders' Cup, what we're doing, the Breeders' Cup mile. Before we get to the race itself, we're just I must really touch on Polly Dream, the work time of Reprieve horse, Monica. I mean, I don't really know if there's much confidence behind it in America before the race, but it was a fair horse, a good juvenile in America. It's a good sprinter in France, sorry, not America. And it was fancied to go well in the old Breeders' Cup mile, but they had some sort of issue with it in the pre-race inspection, and it was deemed as lame. And Freddie Head wasn't too happy about it. So, Monica, was this really a big story in America, the withdrawal of this horse?
I didn't know the horse had been scratched, because there weren't that many scratches the day of the Breeders' Cup. And
also I've always maintained that Americans will always underestimate certain European horses, and we'll never know now if they would have underestimated this one or not. But it never ran, and he was absolutely furious. But let's get on to the race now.
For the $2 million Breeders' Cup Mile. They're in the gate. And they're off. Oscar Performance off dead last. Analyze it off first and racing for the lead and guided over toward the hedge. On the outside, Lightning Spear races up into the second spot. Happily is up close third. Catapult is fourth. Mustachary on the move on the far outside, wide into the turn fifth. Next Share settles inside while sixth. Almanar's pulled back off the pace. Racing in 7th, passed on the outside by Gustav Klimt to Divisadero. Then it's one master toward the inside, running along in 9th. Expert Eye is 3 wide around the first turn. Stutter, Step Start has left Oscar Performance 3rd to last for the backstretch run. I Can Fly to that one's outside, and Clemmy's the last of them all. Here's some company for Analyze It. On the far outside, Mustashri has come on to take the lead. The opening quarter mile composed in 24 3/5 seconds, so Mustashri leads the way halfway home. Analyze It is right there racing in second. Lightning Spear not far behind. Happily is right in the thick of it. Catapult is positioned on the far outside. 4 wide and putting in a bid. Divisadero's launching a rally, but he's forced to go 5 wide round the far turn. Expert Eyes following that move. Next Shares is right in the thick of it. One master shuffled back on the inside. It is anyone's race as they straighten away. Then the turf mile, Divisadero with a blitz on the far turn. Coming after Analyze It. Catapult boxes on between those two. Lightning Spear's in behind. Then it's Expert Eye. There's 1 furlong to go. Analyze It with something left for the final furlong. Trying to fend off Catapult. Expert Eye finishing okay. Clemmy on the far outside. There's 100 yards to go. Here comes Catapult after Analyze It. But on the far outside, Expert Eye finishing best of all. Expert Eye runs them all down. Catapult was right there. Analyze It, Divisadero, and one master.
Frankie Dettori and Expert Eye with an exciting race that changed leads as much as it changed odds throughout the wagering. Poor break for Oscar Performance changed the whole climate of the race.
Yeah, horses that we weren't expecting to be up close to the pace were, and then it looked like maybe a horse that was up forward in Analyze It was going to hang on. We saw tons of horses taking runs at different points in the race, but you mentioned, Ollie, that turn of foot, Expert Eye, was on full display.
Yeah, and this is a horse with so much natural flair and talent. It's a bit of a joke, really. I think his class has won in the day. I'm not sure he was entirely comfortable on the ground, and normally with Expert Eye you see a really brilliant sort of burst of acceleration immediately, but it took a while to come in today. But he's tough, and mentally he's a much more rounded horse this time round. He looks so good at Goodwood as a 2-year-old. He was brilliant at Royal Ascot this year. There are a couple of sort of downs on the copybook as well, but on his day there aren't many horses anywhere in the world, and I'm not exaggerating it, anywhere in the world with as much natural talent as he's got, and he's overcome adversity here to win. This was a bit of Frankie magic as well, because he was strong in the finish there.
Analyzing It, doing all the heavy lifting when Oscar Performance missed the break, was toward the lead, if not on the lead, throughout the entire race. He withstood challenges over and over again, and at this point is involved in a photo, most likely for show, but a clear victory here for Expert Eye, son of Acclamation, 3-year-old trained by Sir Michael Stout with Frankie Dettori, and a brilliant ride for the Juddmonte Farms. In the photo involving 3-4 horses there that included Divisadero, Catapult, one master was in there, as well as Analyze It. After tiring just briefly, it might take a little while to separate the second place finishers from the rest, but no question about who got the victory here, as Frankie Dettori. We're going to look forward to another one of those flying dismounts.
Well, it was a tremendous performance from Expert Eye. Prince Khalid's ownership operation, Teddy, are so well known for top-class turf horses in the United States, but a first Breeders' Cup Mile, it is a devilishly hard race to win.
We've been trying for quite a long time. I know Prince Khalid will be so chuffed to win this. With the patience that Michael has shown and the brilliant ride that Frankie gave him, it's just all come together today. It was really special.
And I said, Frankie, it's how long? 24 years since you dismounted Barathea here at Churchill Downs, but you don't look a day over 57.
Thank you. I'm sure you're right.
Brilliant ride, and you found the right place.
Yeah, perfect. Michael's going to take all the credit. It was difficult in the spring, but he behaved really well, and he finished really strong.
Well, what a race that was, Monica, eh? For me, the race of the day, without any shadow of a doubt.
It was a fantastic race.
I mean, if I looked at the race probably 5, 6, 7 times, ran through it in my head, and it went pretty much exactly as I expected, especially as soon as the stalls went up. And our mate Oscar Performance pretty much refused to race, didn't it, at the start? Oscar Performance, you know, I mean, we touched on him in the preview, and we both sort of said it would have been nice for him to come back to his best, but last all the way round the old boy after not really wanting to race. Hardly encouraging, and that's 3 races on the trot now. He's looked a bit like that.
He's done. I don't know.
Possibly.
He's telling them he doesn't want to race anymore.
Yeah, and his form is good, and he's ruining his stud value the minute he sets on that track every time, If he's got any stud value left, well, I'm sure he has, because I've looked at his form and he's won some good races. I think they need to call it a day with him, really. Oscar Performance, would you say?
Yes, definitely. I'm not surprised they haven't announced that yet, but just have to wait.
No, I mean we touched on Talismanic earlier. That's been retired to stud as well in the past couple of days by Godolphin. I mean, analyse it. I said before the race as well. Good solid horse, and he ran well. Analyse it in that race.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, by far and away the most solid American proposition in that race, and I thought he gave a good account of himself. What did you think?
Definitely, I definitely thought he made a good account of himself. Thought he ran a good race.
We will really have to touch on the winner now, though. I mean, what a night for Juddmonte Farms and Frankie Dettori. We've already touched on Enable winning the Breeders' Cup Turf, and it was, I think, really a horse I've always liked, Expert Eye. It's so great to see him win like that. I thought he won cozy.
Well, he won at Ascot too. I mean,
He didn't win as easy as that. Have you seen that race, the Jersey? He won by about 6 lengths, hammered him. That was only Group 3 though. But if you watch this race, I've watched it a few times just to confirm it, and he won that race absolutely easy. Frankie knew where the line was, and he just got him there, didn't he?
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely top class horse, Expert Eye.
Expert Eye.
And we both fancied his chances before the race, so we were both happy to see that win. I think it's fair to say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and like you said there, you see Frankie Dettori there. I mean, you saw him at his best again in that race, didn't you?
Yes. I'm starting to become a little bit of a fan of Frankie.
Oh, I will never hear a bad word said about that man. He is. He owes us absolutely nothing, me and my father. If there was a piece of a Frankie Dettori fan club, we'd have probably formed it. We've seen him carry horses for us over the line. We've had money on and proper money when my dad liked to proper bet when he can afford to lose a few quid. He was fairly fearless, and he liked to bet the Godolphin horses. And Frankie Dettori is a hero of ours. People just need to join the dots on that. Frankie Dettori is, whatever the country, America, Germany, France, Italy, Canada, Hong Kong, with absolute genius of a jockey. Absolutely brilliant. And he knew he was cheeky in that race. He was
kind of cheeky, yeah, you're right.
The horse wasn't even extended in that race. An absolutely top class performance. I mean, for every bit I was wrong as well about Old Lightning Spear. I didn't really fire at all. You asked about the Coolmore horses in that race. I mean, Clemmy and Gustav Klimt. What did you think of their performance?
Didn't really do a whole lot.
No, I mean, and they were probably two of the best juveniles he had last year as well. I mean, they've both fallen well short. I was amazed. Gustav Klimt has actually been retired to stud, having never won a Group 1 race. He's Group 2 winner once, I think, Doncaster last year. €7,500 they're expecting people to pay for a go on that. Good luck is all I can say with that, I think. I mean, it's been poor all year, and they were both poor, like you said. And I feel that, again, you said about still one master in that race. It was shuffled back. I mean, that was another one. I'm adamant that the best place to be in an American race is on the inside. If it happens and you get cut up like that, you've just got to sit and suffer, because you don't want to be out wide.
No, well, but sometimes that's your only way out, is go out wide. Sometimes you're 3 wide, 4 wide. Arklow was in that previous race. He was 4 wide at one point. No, he wasn't. He wasn't 4 horses wide, but he was running in that area of being about the 4th or 5th horse wide.
But the point I'm making, but if you sort of want to lead and you want to force the pace, you're always going to be near the rail, aren't you? If you're a front runner, you're not going to be running down the middle of the track, are you? This maybe in a sprint, maybe.
Yes, but no tech.
I thought One Master May have been quite unlucky in that race.
Yes.
his form next year will tell us that, because he was a 7 furlong winner of the Foro, you know, and he was there.
Mm-hmm.
And Willie Agus is a very shrewd trainer.
Oh, yeah.
And he didn't really have a fair run. Good to see from my personal point of view, obviously not for the connections of Shadwell.
Right.
The 2 Hamdan Al Maktoum geldings were both stuffed in that race, well and truly out of sight, which I was delighted with from a personal point of view. Shame that he's not got no good colts these days. I don't like to see geldings in this race from a personal point of view. They were well and truly beaten, and I was delighted to see that. But it was all in all another good solid race. I mean, Analyse It, I think, is... I don't know about that horse. That's 3 times now I've seen it come second in good races.
Right.
I mean, I think that could be one to follow next season. What do you think, Monica, if they keep it in training as a 4-year-old?
Yes, they could. They could.
Because it's only raced 5 times, I think.
So it's been lightly raced. So that's even another good indication that it'll race, train again for next year and race. Depends, that all goes back to the owner.
Bob Baffert's got loads of good horses, though. I know Chad Brown trains Analyse It anyway, not Bob Baffert. I mean, yeah, I think he'll keep it in training. I think he will.
Well, what about number 50, that Divisadero?
Divisadero was a horse that I fancied somewhere, and it was a non-runner. He ran okay, didn't it? It was his 4th, wasn't it?
He was, yes.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I was quite surprised he was quite that close to them.
I don't know. He's another horse.
Yeah, he is. I think where was it at? Where did he run? I think it might have been at Belmont or Arlington. Definitely one of them 2. He likes the track there, but he was going for a race, and he was actually a non-runner, and I picked him to win the race. And I had to write in the article, he's actually a non-runner now. Great. It was the race. It was Robert Bruce's race. It was the Arlington Million.
The Arlington race, then, yeah.
My advice regarding that horse, because I noticed it in the form, is he loves Arlington, that horse, what we're talking about there. So next time he runs at Arlington, maybe have a look at him, definitely. So that's 2 of the 3 races. We're nowhere near. There's plenty of great racing to come, folks, so stay tuned. Monica, what's the next race? What would you like to look at next?
Next race we want to look at is, we're going to go the Dirt Mile.
Okay. Another thing we are looking to do now is Double Handful, the horse racing podcast. You've obviously heard some of the audio. The articles are going quite well, but it's really just myself at the moment. So I am looking for a lot more help with the Double Handful side. We are always looking for other people to get involved with the Double Handful project. Really, we're looking at the moment for maybe article writers, or co-hosts even. Basically, we'll just talk about racing, talk about anything that interests us in the racing sector. You can have your own voice, and you will be giving your own opinions live on air about the pastime you love. If that is something that interests you, then get in touch. The email address is info@reprievemediacic.epeasy.com. Say that once more. info@reprievemediacic.com.
If you see somebody showing any of the signs of a stroke, you don't have to think about it, you just dial 999. Use the FAST test. F. Face. Has their face fallen on one side? Can they smile? A. Arms. Can they raise both arms and keep them there? S. Speech. Is their speech slurred? T. Time. Time to call 999 if you see any one of these signs. Act fast, make the call, dial 999.
If you want to really listen to what we're saying or read what we're saying when we're not on air, then the place to do that really is the news outlet. It's called Essential Reading online, and I will give you the website for that now. It is www.essentialreading.freecluster.eu. That's essentialreading.freecluster, FREE cluster CLUSTER.EU. So why not go and check that out? So we're getting through them now. Monica, welcome back everybody to our Breeders' Cup review show here on Double Handful. We've had a good look at the races, and we're just going through the races really that we've taken a look at in the preview show. We're on now to the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, a race really that I didn't really have an opinion on before the race because there wasn't really much European entries. Well, there wasn't any. So Monica, what do you think of the race?
First and foremost, I did win a few quid on the race, so I was kind of happy with that. But I thought it was a fabulous race.
Oh, well, it always helps when you win, doesn't it? I don't think I've ever seen a bad race that I've won on.
The funny thing I thought about when they were showing giving the trophy out and that after this race 5 Dirt Mile, they had Toby Keith up there, and he's a country western singer, and they said he's also a thoroughbred owner as well.
Okay, well I'm assuming you're on about the winner in the race, yeah? City of Light?
Yes, City of Light, yes.
Okay, well let's just stop there and let's have a quick listen to the race.
Okay.
They're all in line, ready for a start of the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, and they're off. Catalina Cruiser broke to the far, far outside. City of Light is off to a good start for that inside post, and 7 Trumpets broke well too. Firenze fires up close. Bravazzo. Catalina Cruiser joins the field on the far outside, up to be fourth as they head up the chute and race for the main track. So it is City of Light who comes on through to set the pace. Plenty of company though. 7 Trumpets is right there. Firenze Fire 3 wide, and Catalina Cruiser on the far outside. A break of 3 lengths back. Trigger Warning comes on to be 5th on the inside. Isotherm splits rivals up into 6th. Bravazzo 7th. Giant Expectations and Seeking the Soul at the back of the pack. Solid opening quarter mile. 22 and 3/5 seconds. City of Light shows the way. Firenze Fire not far behind, and neither is Catalina Cruiser on the outside. Halfway home in 45 and 1. 7 Trumpets has lost a bit of ground, is back 4th and inside. Bravazzo feels a crack of the whip, 5th on the outside with 3 furlongs to go. Seeking the Soul starting to make some progress. Here comes Seeking the Soul now, racing up into 4th on the outside. Round the far turn, City of Light still going strong. The whip is out on Catalina Cruiser, very wide off the turn with Firenze Fire. Seeking the Soul splits horses. Bravazzo down the center of the track, but they're racing for the 8th pole. And City of Light with a powerhouse performance, a 4-length lead. But Seeking the Soul continues to close, getting closer, but so is the wire. City of Light, 4-length lead. Now it's down to 3. Seeking the Soul and Bravazzo. City of Light dominates the Dirt Mile, wins by 2.5. Seeking the Soul was 2nd, Bravazzo was 3rd, Firenze Fire was 4th. Catalina Cruiser off the board.
round of applause. The crowd roars for your Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner in City of Light. What a performance we just saw. But guys, I think the race was won really on the backstretch when nobody decided to go to the lead and Javier said, I'll take it.
He took it, and not only that, he gave him the fractions were quick, right? But because he had no pressure, do you see that long rein he had on there? That horse was able to take a deep breath and then eked him, so he got himself a little bit of padding, and then turning for home, they weren't going to catch him. He came off the turn a little bit, but other people were wider. Brilliant ride there, and I'm so excited for Mike McCarthy.
Look at how Catalina Cruiser, though, breaks outward. I mean, this is your 4-5 favorite in here, and I think all hope was lost once that happened.
Well, Gabby, you alluded to the fact that this horse has been really down on the inside. He's never been on the outside before, so that was a whole different situation for him, and it's impossible to school for.
1, 6, 8, 7, 9, your unofficial order of finish here. An impressive performance we just saw from City of Light. Congratulations to Mike McCarthy and Javier Castellano.
We're back live in the press conference room with the connections of Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner City of Light. It's a family affair for the Warrens. Left to right is Andrew Warren. Next to Andrew is Suzanne Warren, her husband William Warren, and on the far right, John Kelly Warren. So congratulations to all four of you. City of Light has been an incredibly consistent horse and just put forward a very dominating kind of, I imagine as races go, this was sort of a fun, even a somewhat calm one, maybe for an owner with the possible exception of the first 100 yards.
Well, no, I don't think it was calm. I was very nervous, as a matter of fact, and just was hoping that we'd get a good trip out of this. And we had a great jockey and a great trainer, and that did give me a lot of confidence, so to speak. But I have to say I'm never calm in these races because it's so exciting to the Warren family, and I'm so proud that my two sons and wife are owners of City of Light with me. That makes it so special, and I'm just so proud of our horse. I just have believed in him, and I feel really great that we beat Accelerate over in Arkansas, and now we beat Catalina Cruiser. So I think that speaks beautifully for City of Light. We have so much fun with him. He's like part of the family, and we go to the barn early in the morning, and my wife just loves to tease him. And even John Kelly's wife was with us this morning, and he kept biting her bow on her blouse, and we were wondering if we're going to get here today.
Very good, William. Suzanne, you and William were not here literally, but in the winner's circle of the Breeders' Cup Classic back in 2005, a win that ultimately led to Horse of the Year honors. Does today bring back any of those great feelings from 13 years ago?
Oh, of course it does. You're never sure. You never know what's going to happen, but we had a lot of confidence in this horse, and no matter what, he's so beautiful, so athletic. Michael brought him along beautifully. He didn't race a lot early on because of his size, because he just wasn't ready. So we knew this was his moment, and we hoped he would have a good trip. We weren't crazy about the number one hole, but it prevailed, and we are thrilled beyond words.
John Kelly, your father was rattling off the John Sadler trainees that City of Light has vanquished during the year. While watching the race, were you sort of keeping one eye on your horse and another eye on Catalina Cruiser?
I had my eyes on City of Light the whole time. And, well, if I had another eye on something, it was the rest of my family who was up there as well. And just to see them so excited. I don't think I've heard Andrew yell so much in my life. But
he was pounding my shoulder.
Yeah, and I was pounding his shoulder. So my eyes were on City of Light the whole time. I knew he had to break quickly out of the one position, and he did. And I noticed in the other races that the horse who was in the #1 position faded. So I was especially pleased to see City of Light continue and lead throughout the whole race.
Right, yeah, I mean, easiest winner of the night that I've seen, that was. I mean, absolutely superb ride from the jockey. I don't know who rode the horse, but he rode it well. Who was the jockey on it, Monica?
Javier Castellano.
Yeah, he's good. He's one of the better American jockeys. I have noticed that. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he got the horse out in front, and off it went really, and never really saw another horse, did it? Went easy, absolutely easy.
And that was the trainer's first Breeders' Cup win, Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, any relative of yours?
Oh, probably a shirt tail cousin of some sort.
Did he tell you it was going to win?
Yes.
Good boy, isn't he? Got him trained well. I mean, we have to talk about the favourite, Catalina Cruiser. It was odds on over here. I mean, you touched on it in the preview show. You summed it up very well. It had never lost a race. It was stepping up to Group 1 company for the first time in its life. And horses have big days, don't they, where they make their career or they make their reputations. And it's safe to say that the Cruiser fluffed his a bit.
Oh, flopped, bombed, went down the toilet, however you want to say it. But very, very bad race for him. Just ran out of steam, Catalina Cruiser.
Yeah, I mean, it just looked as though the race just wasn't. It looked as though the horse was. Did Van Dyke write that one? Not Dick Van Dyke, Drayden Van Dyke or something. Was he on that one?
Yes, Drayden Van Dyke. Yes.
Yeah, Dick Van Dyke's son, isn't he?
Yep.
He was too heavy. It was either that or be a chimney sweep. That was his. He thought the American coal industry. People have noticed Donald Trump's not really a fan of the American coal industry. So Dick Van Dyke sent his son Drayden to become a jockey instead, and he didn't really ride that one very well, did he?
No.
I mean, not many of them really got into it, did they? It was really was City of Light first, and the rest nowhere. Seeking the Soul, another one you liked, who ran okay, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Solid race.
Got second. He placed, and then Bravazzo. That year he showed up.
Typical Bravazzo there, picking up place money, good place money, but never even remotely looking like winning the race.
No.
He's probably raced about 15 times in his career now and won once.
Yeah.
He's Group 1 placed again.
Yeah.
Group 1 placed in the Breeders' Cup, Group 1 placed in the Preakness. An admirable horse for connections, really, at this level.
And he's got Bravazzo has a legendary trainer, D. Wayne Lucas. They call him the coach. He's good.
Is he? I mean, I'll learn a lot more about these Americans. I think he trains Free Drop Billy as well, doesn't he? That guy?
Don't know that for sure.
No, he doesn't. Anyway, it's D. Romans trains that one. D. Romans trains Free Drop Billy, I think. But he didn't really have much. Bravazzo is a good solid horse, definitely. And Firenze Fire, we have to mention, he never really noticed him in the race either. That's the trouble with the Breeders' Cup. There are so many good horses. Some of them you don't notice them in the race. And Firenze Fire was never really sighted in the race, was he?
Exactly. Firenze Fire. He was fourth, so he placed if you would have bet a superfecta in
he's miles behind
then you would have got me with
to
him.
be fair though, we're talking when you say that Firenze Fire was fourth.
Yeah.
I mean he's probably beaten 10 lengths. The City of Light won this race very easily, and the fourth place in here is not a good run, is it? He was a long way behind, wasn't he?
No. As a matter of fact, City of Light
a distant fourth.
Won easily, so I mean...
Yeah, it sounds better than what it was, a fourth in the Breeders' Cup. He was a distant fourth, really, and well beaten, wasn't he?
Right.
As they all were. I mean, so I didn't really know much about that City of Light beforehand, but he looked better than all them by a fair bit.
Oh, yeah.
The first time he's done that this season, is he? I mean, he went off the second favourite, so...
Right.
He must have had some good form from somewhere.
Right.
I mean, I've not watched many mile races over dirt. I mean, but he was impressive, weren't he? Just
definitely
kept going, and They never looked like catching him, did they?
No.
And what's more, he never looked like stopping. You'd think he'd stay 10 furlongs looking at that race, wouldn't you?
Right.
Do you think he would?
I think he would.
Well, saying that, there's a lot of races in America over a mile and 1/8, isn't there, which is 9 furlongs. They don't really have that distance over in England, but...
It's a mile and a 16th. Yeah.
Or a mile and a half a furlong. We don't have races over that distance. So he doesn't... So he would definitely stay that, you'd think. He was a good winner, wasn't he, City of Light?
Oh, definitely. Most definitely.
Yep. So that leaves us with 2 races to go now. I mean, are we going to do the Fillies and Mares Turf next? And then we'll finish with the Classic, the race we were looking forward to the most. Yeah, you happy with that, Monica?
That'll work.
Okie dokie. So, 2 races left now, and this really was a race that was always going to be an interesting one, because on the turf in America, a mile and a half, it really does test them, I think. We're talking, of course, about the Breeders' Cup Fillies and Mares Turf.
And we'll be ready for the Maker's Mark Filly and Mare Turf. They're in the gate, and they're off. An alert start for 4-star Crook. Thais did not break well, moves back inside, and is hustled hard up toward the lead. Magic Wand is there on the far outside, and so is a Raving Beauty. A Raving Beauty comes up on through. Princess Yiza's forward. Wild Illusion gets a good spot. Thais, that one's inside, very restive in the very early stages. So they come to the stretch for the first time, and it's a Raving Beauty in front, leading by a length and a half. Magic Wand is racing second. Princess Yiza is third. Wild Illusion comes away fourth on the outside. Thais is fifth. Smart Choice in the clear early on in sixth. 4-star Crook is covered up while seventh, just ahead of her stablemate Sister Charlie, racing 6 lengths off the lead in 8th position. And is Fiercely Kissed, followed by Azira in between. Faves is down inside. Santa Monica's wide bias the first time. Then it's Athena, and at the back is Mom's on Strike with 1 lap to go. A Raving Beauty shows the way with mild pressure only from Magic Wand on the outside. Long shot Princess Yiza continues on, covered up third and toward the rail. A perfect spot for Wild Illusion, racing in fourth on the outside of Thais, who's fifth and toward the inside. Smart Choice continues on in the clear, moving up into sixth. 4-star Crook is bottled up inside seventh. Sister Charlie has been moved to the outside eighth, to within 5 lengths of the lead, and is in the clear for the backstretch run. And then it's Azira racing at mid-pack, followed by Santa Monica, who's in the clear. Fiercely Kissed is bottled up inside. Then it's Athena Paved and Mom's on Strike at the back of the pack. So it is a Raving Beauty, 3/4 and 18 and 2. They're moving for the far turn. Magic Wand still second on the outside. Wild Illusion is poised for the far turn run. Princess Yiza is covered up inside. Sister Charlie with steady progress up to be fifth. And 4-star Crook is moving with her as they round the far turn. Farther back gets Azira. They're coming to the top of the stretch. They still have to catch Santa Monica. Magic Wand is right there. Turning for home, Wild Illusion third off the turn. Sister Charlie swings wide. 4-star Crook is in behind. They're racing for the mid-stretch marker. A Raving Beauty is still in front. Here comes Wild Illusion with an explosive rally on the outside. Sister Charlie down the center of the course. Magic Wand is back to fourth. A Raving Beauty has lost the lead to Wild Illusion. Sister Charlie on the outside grinding away. Here comes Sister Charlie. Take it up and win it. Sister Charlie runs down Wild Illusion. A Raving Beauty was third, and Magic Wand was fourth.
Sister Charlie appears to get up just in the nick of time. And guys, considering how slow the pace was in front of him, I mean, this was an impressive performance for Sister Charlie.
Yeah, that's a huge run from Chad Brown's winner there, Sister Charlie, under John Velazquez, because she's done really well to pick off a tenacious filly in Wild Illusion, who was a bit awkward going into the gates, but no excuses for her today. Sister Charlie, who had got form in France on good ground, she's brought that here to America and had a really good time of it of late, running huge on quick ground. Well, today, back on softer conditions, she's brought that French form into the race, and she is high class. To do that against Wild Illusion takes a really special horse off the fraction she was given to aim at. That's a top effort from her.
I thought this was a solid effort, honestly, from our top 4 finishers here, because you have to give a ton of credit to a Raving Beauty who went out there and stretched out, and for here it looked like she might even hold on, and a great run in between from the Aidan O'Brien runner. And Wild Illusion, honestly, I don't think a lot of excuses. Maybe didn't break as sharp as they wanted her to, but if Sister Charlie's going to get up, she had every opportunity to as well.
You can see a Raving Beauty swapping over to her wrong lead just late, just showing you that this distance might have been too far, but a valiant try from the top 4 finishers we saw here in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. And Chad Brownwell, he sent out 5, and he comes home with a victory. This is his 4th win in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Stephanie's Kitten Day at the Spa and Zagora add Sister Charlie to the list of accomplishments.
Head-to-head, USA.
I'm off.
That's right, Michelle. Well, an exciting finish here. 6, 3, 9, 10,
Sister Charlie
13, your
first.
unofficial
3,
order of finish.
Congratulations to all the Brand family. Peter, 30 years or thereabouts since Gulch. A very special day in the sunshine here in Kentucky today. What kept you away so long?
I don't know. I don't know. I love the game, and I'm so happy that I'm back in horse racing. It's a great game, and I really love being in this sport. Thank you.
I can see you're shedding a tear now. Is that because it means so much more to have your family here with you to enjoy it in this next incarnation?
Yes, for sure. For sure. It's great to come to a great race like this. Great to be in Kentucky and such a great day and Breeders' Cup, and we're all thrilled, and it's a great pleasure to be here.
Stephanie, what were you hoping for when you came to Churchill Downs today, and what were you expecting?
I expected Sister Charlie to win. I knew she'd win.
And is this a whole new generation of racing fans? Christopher, Lily, are you going to take it all over?
Maybe.
Well, let's hope so. Fabulous family triumph. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Sister Charlie, the winner of the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. And yet another Breeders' Cup success for Chad Brown and John Velasquez, Lafitte.
There we go. You say I must compliment again Monica on this race because he picked the winner again in this race. Again, I will note another superb ride. I actually did write down the jockey's name this time, which always helps. John Velasquez. Don't know anything about the bloke, but he rides that horse very well, Sister Charlie. I've noticed him do it a couple of times now, and it won well, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It closed very well. Sister Charlie and John Velasquez. He goes by. They know him in the jockey arena as Johnny V. It was a very good race, and I love the way. Like I said, Sister Charlie just closed so well. It's exciting.
Good, solid form as well. Sister Charlie and Wild Illusion is a very good, tough, honest filly. And it's been placed in no end of classics and won a couple of Group 1s. And for Sister Charlie to beat that over 1.5 miles, because I know that Wild Illusion's breeding is out of a horse called Room, RUMH, and that was a 2-miler. So it wasn't a listed Class 1, but I remember it running for Godolphin a few times. And for Sister Charlie to actually reel that horse in, Wild Illusion at the end, it just says it all. Superb, a good filly, Sister Charlie. One of the French will be kicking their. I don't know what they'll be thinking. Why did we sell that? I think because it had shown good form in the Oaks, the French Oaks last season, and it really has thrived in America, hasn't it?
Mhm.
You know, so I think personally, Sister Charlie was one of the takeaway horses from the Breeders' Cup because the form was there before the race to indicate that the horse would run well. It was a tough race, plenty of good European horses in it, and it delivered really, didn't it? Sister Charlie won well. I mean, Magic Wand. I mean, you touched on Magic Wand in the preview. That horse to me, it's a funny horse, isn't it? I mean. But when you watch it win at Royal Ascot in the Ribblesdale, you'd think that is a good horse, you know. But I don't know. It's be 4-year-old next year. I think maybe I don't know. It's won some good races this year. I don't know whether they will keep it in training next year. It doesn't really. I'm not sure. But and what other horses in there did you like the look of?
4-Star Crook
ran quite well.
Yes, and
but I can't see how that can beat Sister Charlie though, Monica. It's been beat by it so many times now.
Oh yeah,
it must be sick of seeing it. Yeah, I can't see how it can beat it. That's my honest opinion on that horse. If Sister Charlie weren't in these races, it'd probably win a couple.
Oh, definitely.
It proved in that race what I was on about the other week in Belmont that it's a good horse as well. So yeah, but it can't beat Sister, can it?
No,
it's going to struggle. it's one of them horses that's just unfortunate to be around at the good time at the same time as a very good horse. And we have to say that Sister Charlie is a very good horse. I mean, look at the form if you don't believe us. It's a good horse, isn't it?
Oh, definitely a good horse. And like you said, it ran well at Belmont, too. It had good races.
It won. I think they only lost one race this year, and it's finished well last year as well. I mean, I touched on a few. Athena is an interesting one to me. The Cornwall horse Athena, because yet again that's proved to me that it can run well in America. Runs a lot better in America than it does in England. That horse. I mean, it's won at Belmont already, and I thought that ran well in that race. In a good race, I didn't expect it to be that near the front.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so whether that's one that needs the old Lasix to be any good or not, you know, that's what I'm thinking about the horse now. I've noticed it seems to run better in America than in England, so I put that down to it improves to the Lasix really.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to see what he does with that horse, or what he does with it, because it's won a Group 1 already at Belmont. You know, and it is a bit of a numbers game at Coolmore, isn't it? It's won a Group 1. What else can it do? Yeah, they might just retire it and breed it. It wouldn't be the first filly to do that.
Well, it looked good on the resume. If it's got, it wins, it's got a grade 1 win. That's what people are wanting.
Yeah, exactly. And it ran a solid race there. Phase missed the break totally. I've never seen American horses are normally quite good coming out of the stalls. It doesn't really happen, does it?
No.
They're normally so well trained in America because they have all their penalties for not going in the stalls in America are quite strict, aren't they? You know, if they keep doing it, they're not allowed to race, are they? But this horse Phase just missed the break totally and was never in the race. That was the French one that I thought could run well. That was the one that was third in the Beverly D.
Yes.
At Belmont. So that's just a shame, really. But we never got to see how good it was. But all in all, Sister Charlie was definitely the horse to take out of that race, would you say?
Oh, definitely. And that French horse you were talking about with the Chad, along with Sister Charlie and Star.
It was the third horse was a German horse, wasn't it?
Yes.
That ran well. Chad Brown horse. What was that called? That ran well. You got it written down there?
Is it a Raven Beauty?
That's the one, yeah. A Raving Beauty. A German
yes.
Horse. Yeah, Chad Brown. He finds these good horses. That bloke can train anything, can't he, Chad Brown? He could win a race with me. And I'm a very reluctant runner. That guy can train horses, can't he?
That man can train horses.
I've noticed that in my short period of following American races. He might have 4 or 5 in every race, but we can't rule any of them out. They've all got good form, and they've all. And what's more, he gets from all around the world as well. People just send him these horses from France and Chile and anywhere really, and he runs them, doesn't he? And does well with them.
Yeah.
Germany is in this instance. Does well with them.
Yes, he does, and they just keep sending him horses.
He wouldn't. I mean, Good Magic. He trained that one as well, so he can train. He can train a good, solid Triple Crown horse as well. Train with Good Magic. Don't forget. I mean, I must touch on Azera as well. I mean, I thought that ran a cracking race, Azera, if I was looking at back in 3-mile novice hurdlers. I mean, we touched on the pedigree of it. 2 Ascot Gold Cups in the pedigree, and the horse just ran like it needed further. And over a race like that was very worrying because they weren't hanging about. I'm starting to wonder if there's a race long enough for the horse on the flat calendar. You know, it looks a ledger horse to me. 1 mile 6 all the way now because that horse was staying on at the end. And it wasn't staying on at any great pace either. It was just running on relentlessly, the old Aga Khan horse. But like I said, what a horse that would be over hurdles. It would never happen. But I wouldn't mind seeing it run in a 3-mile novice hurdle. But we're talking about a horse that's won Group 2s here and been placed in the Yorkshire Oaks. So it's never going to happen. But I wouldn't rule that horse out next season. We have staying races over here, Monica, over 2 miles quite regularly. I mean, you don't really have them in America, do you?
No.
So there is races for this horse if the Arga decides to keep it in training. A lot of 2 mile, 1 mile 6 fillies races, plenty of them. So it'd be interesting to see what he does with the horse. But to me, I just thought it looked a bit slow against them, especially when he looked at Sister Charlie was finishing like a miler. And Azir, in comparison, was finishing like a 4-miler. But it was a good finish, a solid run from Azir in 5th. The first time it had been out of the first 3 in its life. So I think they'd have been disappointed with it. It was a bit too far back at the start, probably a bit outpaced, in all honesty. I don't think Frankie wanted it that far back, but it ran on well at the end. So that's that race. So now we've got to wrap up with the best race really on the card.
Yes, the classic. The drum roll, please.
So we finally got to the end. The final race we're going to look at before we look at Monica's Any Other Business, our new feature on this show. We're going to touch on the Breeders' Cup Classic, a race where it's fair to say, Monica, you were very excited about this race before the race, weren't you?
Oh my gosh, what class of horses we have in it? Oh, definitely. I was wound tight.
Just run us through a few of the runners without telling us the result then. What horses were we looking forward to before the race?
Oh, let's start out with Roaring Lion, Thunder Snow, Good Old Catholic Boy, Mind Your Biscuits. Baffert had West Coast, and my favorite, Mendelssohn.
Yep, so plenty of good horses to look out for. Let's listen, have a quick listen to how they got on.
They're in the gate, and they're off. In the 35th Breeders' Cup Classic, and some crowding down inside. Roaring Lion and Catholic Boy both took the worst of it. Mendelssohn sent hard out after that lead. It's Mendelssohn in front, bias for the first time. McKenzie's right there, and Thunder Snow down inside. West Coast is forced outside by his stablemate as they race for the clubhouse turn, and it's Mendelssohn in front. McKenzie moves up to be second on the outside. West Coast is wide into the clubhouse turn, racing third. Thunder Snow gets a great spot down inside 4th. Pavel's not far behind, running in 5th. Accelerate for that outside post is 3 wide, while 6th. Roaring Lion moves up from the inside 7th. Catholic Boy is wide in 8th. Mind Your Biscuits 4 wide, racing in 9th. Axelrod is 10th by 3. And then it's Gunnevera 11th by another 4. Then we come back to Yoshida, who's just out of Discreet Lover. And late running Lone Sailor is the last of them all. The pace is fast, 22 and 3 to a 46 and 2 half mile. There's 5 furlongs to go. Mendelssohn is the leader, but there's plenty of company from a Bob Baffert duo of McKenzie and West Coast on the outside. Thunder Snow is still tucked away toward the rail. Accelerate is given a nudge, up to be 5th on the far outside. Then it's Pavel racing 6th. Axelrod is 7th. Mind Your Biscuits is coming with his rally, trying to go past Catholic Boy. Gunnevera is kicking in from the back of the pack. He was outside, now he's inside, and Yoshida's following him round the far turn. Lone Sailor's trying to pick it up as well as they race for the top of the stretch. Mendelssohn is still in front. Mendelssohn comes to the top of the stretch. Here comes Accelerate on the outside. Thunder Snow's net set to strike in behind. They're off the turn. They're into the stretch. Mendelssohn, Accelerate. Thunder Snow trying to split those two as they come to the final furlong. Yoshida continues to close. Axelrod and Lone Sailor and Gunnevera by the 8th pole in the Breeders' Cup Classic. It's Accelerate in front. Thunder Snow continues to battle. Gunnevera continues to close. Yoshida's on the outside. They're coming to the wire. Accelerate trying to hold, and he does! Accelerate wins the 35th Breeders' Cup Classic. Gunnevera was second. It's tight for third between Thunder Snow and Yoshida.
Accelerate in the Breeders' Cup Classic to give John Sadler his first Breeders' Cup victory and some redemption. With the bettors making him the favorite in the end, he certainly had to earn it.
How good does that have to feel for John Sadler? Breeders' Cup Classic win times 10, getting the monkey off his back in the biggest race run here at the Breeders' Cup, and Accelerate didn't have an easy time of it, but man, Gabby, he gutted it out.
Well, let's talk about this pace scenario. I mean, we have very rarely seen fractions like this, 22 and change, 46 and change, I think, for the half. I mean, they were rolling up front.
Number 14,
and it
Accelerate
really
was
did create a perfect situation for Accelerate.
Yeah, there was some crowding toward the inside of the gate in particular. Looked as if Catholic Boy and Roaring Lion kind of got shut out a bit as a hazard of the break, with a couple horses kind of jostling there, in part, I think, with Mendelssohn toward the outside, just quarter-horsing it quite literally out of the starting gate.
And a gutsy performance by Thunder Snow. Ganavera picking up the pieces. Thunder Snow showing that stamina from the inside to grab the shodo, I believe here, although it was a photo for third. But Accelerate gets it done, 5-2 favorite. Lots of people, including myself, a little bit skeptical. But you have to be skeptical against the favorite sometimes. This is one favorite, though, that got the job done, and he certainly deserves it.
Joel Rosario will take the weekend with 2 Breeders' Cup victories yesterday, including a very promising 2-year-old and Game Winner who, well, could be the early favorite for the Kentucky Derby, and now the winner of the Breeders' Cup Classic, Accelerate, with Joel Rosario. John Sadler has to be so relieved, in addition to happy, over this victory. A lot had been made out of the numbers. He never seemed to take it too much to heart. He always said, I'm proud of the performances of the horses I've brought over here, and I think one of these days there'll be one with my name on it.
How about this year in general, about bucking those types of trends? I mean, it started with Justify, never having raced at 2, and the winning the Kentucky Derby. After that, we see John Sadler going over, Enable coming from the Arc to the Breeders' Cup. It's been such a tremendous weekend.
With Fred Hertrick of the Breeders' Cup, Costa, you get a lot when you win a Breeders' Cup Classic. You're going to be presented with this hardware, winner's share of a $6 million purse, and the timepieces from Longines. Longines, the official watch and timekeeper of the Breeders' Cup. Fred?
What a race. What a race. On behalf of the Breeders' Crown Breeders' Cup board, and all the management team, as well as the Churchill board and management team, this was the culmination of the greatest Breeders' Cup in history, and it is the World Championship, and the Ronases had the World Champion today in the Classic. My compliments to them, my congratulations to them and their entire team. And Mr. Ronas has traded his Rolex in for 2 Longines, he told me. So, to our sponsor, Longines, it's wonderful. Thank the crowd and all of the fans that came out today. You saw some of the greatest racing ever in the history of thoroughbred racing. So
Costa,
thank you very much.
What does it mean to win this Breeders' Cup Classic, but specifically with John Sadler?
Yeah, to win it with John Sadler's honor for the Ronas family, no doubt. We're very proud. We owe all this to John and his great job and his team and everything he's done for horse racing.
Enjoy it. Congratulations, Costa.
Thank you very much.
Mike, Accelerate, brilliant in the 35th Breeders' Cup Classic.
So there we have it. What a race. And I don't know where to start with it, Monica, really, so I'll let you start.
Okay, gosh. The beginning. Okay.
The winner. The winner, Accelerate. I mean, we did say it could be a fly in the ointment, but I didn't really expect it to run that well. It ran a great race, didn't it? Your mate Sadler again from California. I mean, was that his first Breeders' Cup winner as well?
Yes, it was like his first Breeders' Cup win, John Sadler, the trainer. And Accelerate is a great, solid horse, don't get me wrong. Owners, Horonis Racing, they're a good group. They have probably a medium to large barn they have. But Accelerate is a good horse, but honestly, I didn't really see him winning. Even though he's an older horse and, has got a good resume, I just wasn't looking down his avenue to win.
No, I mean, we must give a shout out to another double handful presenter, Steve Allpress, who's probably may listen to this one day, who did pick that horse. So well done, sir. I mean, me personally as well, I thought this race was, I was a bit gullible in that race, I was a bit foolish. Because McKinsey, you have to say, we touched on Catalina Cruiser earlier about fluffing his big opportunity. you have to say, really, that McKinsey has done exactly the same. They ran an awful race, McKinsey, didn't he? Awful.
6-1, McKenzie, McKenzie was injured early in the season after a race out in California with, another horse. Yeah. He had a long layoff, McKenzie did, and came back, in training, and they were grooming him for the Breeders' Cup and whatnot. Had to get a prep race in there too. But McKenzie, in this race.
To be fair to you though, again, I did get vibes off you when we were talking about the race earlier that you never fancied it one bit, did you?
Not really.
I remember you saying so. Yeah, so that's one to you in that race. But yeah, I mean, you did. You're a nice woman. You will never say this horse has got no chance. But I can tell that you weren't as confident about McKinsey as you were about others.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and you were proved right. It ran an awful race. I mean, what else do you want to touch on in that race? We best talk about your favourite horse then. I don't know why you like this horse, Mendelssohn. Arguably the most frustrating horse in training, in my view. I mean, why?
Really?
Why? Answer me this then about the horse, Monica. Why did they go off so quick on it? Why don't they just slow him down a bit so he stays?
That's a question you're going to have to ask Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien. I don't know why Ryan took off with that horse so fast.
He was, race now. No. If you watch last year's Breeders' Cup, he never ran him like that. Come through at the end nicely. It's only since Dubai they've started to do it, where they've dominated against an inferior field, and they think they can do that all the time now, but they can't. I mean, watch the race before. He did exactly the same thing again the race before that, and he was caught again at the end, weren't he? A Catholic boy in the Travers. Was it the Travers?
Yeah.
So it's nothing new, and the horse just did the same thing again. It's absolutely frustrating. Why don't they just ride the horse with more restraint?
I don't know, but he definitely ran out of steam when he needed the steam the most. He needed that kick, that power kick to go, and it was gone.
Look at the breeding of the horse. You'd think it's all since the Kentucky Derby. Nothing's gone right for the horse, has it?
Oh my God!
Nothing's gone right for the horse since that race. It's
a nightmare.
They might as well have ripped the season off and come back next year.
Yeah.
It's been terrible for him. But Thunder Snow ran well again, didn't he?
I'm surprised that the weather was good for Thunder Snow. I'll say that. I've been off Thunder Snow for quite a while, and I was very impressed of his race on Classic Day.
Good horse, good solid horse, Thunder Snow. I mean, I imagine now they'll be thinking maybe he's good enough to win back-to-back Dubai World Cups now. But they'll be thinking that. They'll be thinking Dubai World Cup again with him, I think, now after that, because he has shown in that race that he is still competitive at this level.
Yes.
And the Dubai World Cup is a weaker race than this, I think. I mean, you touched on West Coast retiring it nicely because he was last year's beaten favourite in the Breeders' Cup. He's obviously retired now, but he didn't really go out on a high either, did he?
Not at all.
I mean, to me, I think the writing's been on the wall for that horse for a while. I didn't really think he looked up to it in the Breeders' Cup, and he looked as though his best days were behind him then. Sorry, not the Breeders' Cup, in the Dubai World Cup, and that was January. So to me, it's amazing to me that we're still talking about the horse running in November.
Yeah.
It sort of proved it, really, the old boy. But I'm sure he'll be very popular at stud as well. A lot of these American horses, they win a lot of good races out there, and I'm sure there'll be mares, little West Coast running around in 3 years.
Oh yeah. Bob Baffert did not have a Breeders' Cup Classic win this year.
No, he didn't. But he threw everything at it with them two horses, McKinsey. But we must touch on Justify now, really, as well, quickly, because that was probably the race that he'd have gone for if he was still in training, wouldn't it? So it'd have been lovely to see how he'd have got on against the older horse, Accelerate, the winner. I mean, we'll never find out. One of the tragedies of racing, really, that happens.
No.
But Accelerate on the day, like you said, Monica, was a good winner, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
A good, honest horse. A good, honest yardstick, Accelerate.
Ooh, and he had such form.
Yeah, against the older horses, you see. Well, I think American older horses. I mean, I'm on a few forums and a few groups, same as you, and I think these American 4-year-olds and above are underestimated by a lot of people. I'm of the opinion that there is still some good horses in them. You know, they're not all 4-year-old slow geldings. There's some good horses out there. And Accelerate is a good, honest horse. And if there is any weakness in any up-and-coming Group 1 horse, Accelerate will find them out. He's a good, solid horse. Runs solid every time, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. And
you can set your clock by him. He's a good horse.
Definitely good horse. Kudos to John Sadler too. But
yeah, I mean, it really was a good horse. I mean, you couldn't really argue with his form at all. We touched on some chinks. There was some really. We have to touch on some of the 3-year-olds really. Roaring Lion, the English horse. I mean, I don't know.
Yes.
He's down at the end. Once he was beaten, they didn't really care, did they? They were just looking after him, making sure he got home safe and sound.
He was right up. He was right.
Yeah, bumped at the start. They both were. Him and Catholic Boy. They're both pretty roughed up at the start. I don't know if you noticed that. Catholic Boy and Roaring Lion were both pretty. Well, it weren't the Kentucky Derby. It weren't like as bad as that. But it was pretty rough in the first furlong and a bit, that race, if you go back and look at it, people. So their chances were compromised somewhat, and Roaring Lion was eased right out of it. It took him, O'Sheen Murphy looked after the horse, took him right out of the race, out of the way. And he just come home in his own time, really. And 40 grand now, £40,000 to cover for Roaring Lion. The most expensive horse thus far to have been declared as a first season sire for next year. £40,000 covering fee. And I think as a son of Kitten's Joy, he will be very popular. I do think that. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Catholic Boy, the old Ridgeling, he'll be back for more next year, wouldn't he? What else can he do, really? Bless him.
Yeah, they'll run him till he's ragged. I mean, that's what they do most of the time with the Ridgelings.
They'll run him at a very high level because this is a Group 1 winner over on dirt and turf, people. So very good horse. Very good horse indeed, but that wasn't his day, was it? The Breeders' Cup Classic, it's fair to say.
No.
I've got to touch now on Mind Your Biscuits because I did ask you a question. How was that horse going to stay? A sprinter, Mind Your Biscuits, and he just never looked like he was going to, did he? He was ridden to stay right out the back.
No. Yeah, him and Catholic Boy ran together for quite some time.
Catholic Boy is proven at the trip, and Mind Your Biscuits is a sprinter. Yeah, that's the difference. Right. You know, he was never going to be come with a quick finish at the end. It's interesting that they thought that horse was good enough to run in that race. A quality sprinter like him. It goes back really to what Bob Baffert said when me and Elizabeth Pepper, did the Justify show. He said something in there, Bob Baffert, about the horse Justify, and he said something like, well, "It don't matter what the distance is. We run the horse in the sprint, he'd win it. We'd run the horse in the classic, he'd win it." And I thought to myself, no, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mind Your Biscuits is obviously thinking along the same lines. Whoever trains that one, they obviously think that the horse would just be good over any distance. I don't think that's necessarily true. But this American way of looking at racing is different to what I'm used to. So maybe it does happen in America that you get horses win over 6 furlongs and a mile and 2 in the same season at Group 1 level. But I don't think. No, I don't think it was. But it'd be interesting to see. I imagine Mind Your Biscuits will go back to Dubai. Won at Dubai last year, didn't it?
Yes.
So,
I don't know because there's a change up with Mind Your Biscuits. Biscuits is owned by a syndicate, and they sold him recently, and he's going to Japan. Biscuits is.
Well, as a sire. So has he retired from racing then, or don't you know?
He's going to Japan, so he's going to sire in Japan.
Well,
so.
If he races out there as well, he'd do all right. Yeah, there's plenty of the prize money out there is very good.
That's good.
It is very good. I've not really looked at to double handful to its discredit. Hasn't really looked at much Japanese racing yet. But it's thought of it. I've looked at the pattern, and it sort of starts in January, February time. It seems to. So while there's not much national hunt racing to look at with English and Irish racing, I might try and pick a few winners there, see what happens. They're all very well bred, and they're all bred out of horses that raced in Europe and good horses, like Deep Impact and Harbinger. There's some good sires out there that I think that might be quite good. So Japanese racing, I'm not really familiar with it, but What about yourself? Do you watch much Japanese racing?
Because I don't know, I'm not familiar with it, and I don't really know how to look at a race. I don't know enough horses that are racing over there to know what I'm looking at. But you might want to watch for Mind Your Biscuits. They may race him some more. I don't know if they have like a mile race over there. I'm not really sure.
Oh, they have races over all sorts of distances over there. They do. Turf races though mainly, I think, that I've noticed. I might be wrong. Like I said, the pattern hasn't really started yet.
Right. I'll have to check that out.
I've looked at it. I found a couple of interesting sites. So I can look at all the form of it. But when it comes to replays, like you said, I'm struggling a bit as well.
Right.
Find a few of them, but not many. So before we start wrapping up this programme, I think it's now time for Monica's other business. You wanted to touch on a quick Breeders' Cup roundup of all the races we missed out, Monica.
Okay. Just wanted to touch briefly on race 7, the Twin Spires Sprint. Roy H. won, and he won last year as well. So very good race that was too. And then also the race 9 was the Longines Distaff. Monomoy girl won, or the Oaks winner.
Kentucky. Yeah, that's a good filly. That seems to win a few.
Mm-hmm. She's undefeated.
Still?
Yes.
She's fairly good. That's a fairly good filly then.
Yes.
Did she win easy? I didn't catch that race. Was it a comfortable victory?
Yes, she won it fairly easy. Wildcat was place number 2 was Wildcat, and then you had Midnight Bizou.
Yeah, that was her third. It was as well, beaten 1.5 lengths. Yeah, but my mate Johnny Velasquez rode it. So really, the fillies, to my discredit, we totally overlooked them and just focused on the Derby. I mean, we'll be doing the same again this year, I'm afraid. There's just so many to look at. But feel free to update us all on the 3-year-old fillies. I mean, the juvenile fillies on Friday night, we totally missed them as well. I mean, did you see that newspaper of record, wasn't it?
Yes.
I mean, that's put itself right at the top this year, hasn't it now?
Definitely. A newspaper record was ridden by Irad Ortiz.
Yeah, it won easy, didn't it?
It won very easy.
So that's obviously going to be heading for the Kentucky Oaks next season, you'd think. A long way to go yet. Same as with the Colts. So really, then, we're really now looking forward to the Pegasus World Cup.
Definitely.
I mean, that's a relatively new race. I think this year is the 3rd running, and it is the world's richest race.
Yes.
I mean, what sort of? I mean, I'm fairly new to this race. I know really that last year's winner, Gun Runner, it was his last race.
Yes.
So, is it really what sort of horses am I expecting to be watching in that race? And will Princess Accelerate go for that?
Very well could be. Very well could be. Accelerate could very well be in that.
So it's a 10 furlong race, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. And on the dirt.
On the dirt, Stronach Corporation.
Where is it ran, Monica?
It is ran at Gulfstream Park in Hallandale, Florida.
Okay, that's good. So we're going to be looking at that race, I think, because it's the world's richest race, and I think will Arklow be in it?
Oh, definitely.
Breeders' Cup turf, drop him down in trip.
He may be, but he's a turf horse, so I don't know if they'll.
Oh, is he? Does he not run on the dirt at all, Arklow? Then does he just a turf horse all the way? Yeah?
Pretty much. I've not seen him run anything. Maybe his first couple races were dirt, but they put him on the turf and let him roll.
So what about this City of Light then, Upton Trip? Winner of the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Could that take it? Go for it?
Very well could.
So we could have Bravazo then, really, as well. We're looking at horses. It'd be a good race then to watch, and really the prize money for that is astronomical.
Oh,
isn't it?
and the each horse you have to come up with $1 million to like rent the stall for that race.
Yeah, but it's the owners that own it, so they can change their mind at any time, can't they? Because it happened, didn't it?
Right.
I remember it happening with someone and also you can sell the stalls.
Yes,
to other owners,
it's
can't
kind
you?
of a different take on a race, but it's more complicated.
I remember something like that happening where I think somebody had a good horse, but they couldn't get in the race and they had to buy somebody's stall for ridiculous amounts of money to run in the race.
Yes.
Something like that. I vaguely remember it. So that's interesting. So do people know at the minute then who's got all these stalls yet? Or has it been decided yet? When are they allotted? Are they just for sale then? Is there like an auction?
That part, I'm honestly not sure how that part goes. How you buy? I think you just buy a stall.
Yeah, but they're not gonna knock on your door and ask you, are they? You've got to be obviously in the right circles to get these. Stalls,
Not this year. I'm gonna be a spectator this year. Perhaps next year.
Have you got a good one for next year? Then,
I'm gonna buy a stall next year.
Make sure you got a good horse though.
I got my lecherous eye on one of them already.
So, Monica, can I just say thank you very much again for joining us here on Double Handful. It's been an absolute pleasure listening to your views. Hopefully, there'll be no pressure. We're not expecting 100-1 winners every time. So next time when we look at the Pegasus World Cup, we might let you pick the favourite in that one, just to give yourself a better chance. But Monica, thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to speak to you soon.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a true pleasure and always fun to talk to you on any of these horse races.
So okay, Monica, thank you very much for joining us, and you take care, yeah?
Thank you. You too.